The Justice League issue 63, Brian Michael Bendis writing with David Marquez on the art. It is worth mentioning, I did not have this on the list at the start of the show and no one noticed. I just want to point that out. I realised halfway
There's
through.
a missing one.
But no worries, I rememred.
I mercifully didn't have to read this, so that's why I didn't notice.
I'll just say, I can't wait to talk about Justice League Dark. So we'll...
Sure.
Which I didn't read either yet, Matt, so...
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm going to have to wait for the trade now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Break out the violins.
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead, tell me how you enjoyed Justice League.
Oh, that sounds like a negative tangent or tinge to the tone.
Yeah.
Naomi wakes up in the Hall of Justice, and we kind of get all these. Black Canary comes in, asks her how she is. They kind of talk about the incident that went down, and we flash back to how they left the other world, which is basically Naomi went to Zambada, and there was a giant mass release of energy. She kind of lost control, went supernova effectively, or at least in combination with him went supernova. Might be a more accurate description.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some fights and 2-page layouts. If there's one thing I'll criticize these Bendis books for, is that they have this nasty habit of having like 4 double-page spreads back to back or double-page layouts back to back, which is kind of annoying.
That's what we said last time.
Yeah.
That Marquez, however, it is beautiful, but they're in succession.
Yeah. It just makes them feel kind of like, I don't know, less impactful because they're just back to back.
That's also what we said last time.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
It's still true.
You were reading as we were talking, so it's fine.
It's still true. So, Batman. Oh, that's right. I didn't talk about it last time because I was too busy reading Swamp Thing. That's right. Yeah. So, Batman steals the magic doohickey that what's his name?
Brutus.
Thank you. That was good.
And McMurph created.
Yeah. So what they used to get into Earth in the first place, get into our Earth, and basically, as they're leaving, this is the thing that really stuck out to me, is that Brutus seemingly gets eviscerated by Black Adam on the way out, where he's like, "Hey, you pissed us off." So now he doesn't actually get killed though. He is alive later on. He's lying weak and on the ground, and if you think that Zambado might kill him, but he kind of leaves him alive to be his henchman. And for him and the other one to like build this thing again, even though it took years and lots of resources to find a way to get to like Earth Zero, but he wants to go back. He wants to go back and claim his new Earth. So that's kind of that. The rest of the issue though is the Justice League talking with Naomi and trying to establish the plan. She's asking, when can we go back? I feel like I need to help them. And I did like this part where Superman talks about the pool. Like once you're aware that there's other worlds out there of people that are suffering and you want to help them, and even more so in this case because it's your world, it's your people. And there's probably one of my favorite moments of the whole book is there's a panel where when she calls it her world and Clark's just sort of standing behind her, and it's just in the art his reaction to this, where he kind of understands it in this way because he has his own world too, which is separate from Earth. So he kind of relates to her. It's so funny because Naomi's whole story, her book, was about how she saw something special in Superman, and there was so many comparisons to Superman being this orphan from another world. I think it's funny that here in this issue, it's flipped it, and she's talking about something, and Superman's relating to her through the other side of that mirror image. So I kind of like that. And that's basically it, other than Black Adam saying being offered a role in the Justice League by Superman. And he even kind of has a moment with Hippolyta, where Hippolyta is about to leave, and he says that he hopes Hippolyta can see the good in him again before he flies off, effectively. Maybe implying that he does have intentions of trying to kind of have a more public persona and maybe shed some of the more villainous side that people see him as and regain some of his honor in some people's eyes. And the issue ends with basically, Naomi is kind of part of the Justice League, and she flies off home because she has to go home and see her parents. And that's it. So it kind of wraps up what this first little arc has been, but clearly it's not the end of the villains from her world coming through. This has been a primer for what the main part of that story is going to be. Although I'm not convinced that'll be that arc number 2. I feel like it's going to do something else for an arc, and then probably come back to that. Maybe with that bubbling up in the background.
Also, I like Green Arrow basically telling Batman, "Hey, you're cash poor right now. I got this."
Oh, you're right. Yes, that was also
I'm
seen.
gonna bankroll. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's paying for all the employees at the Hall of Justice and the maintenance right now.
Keeping it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it well enough. I wouldn't. I mean, I know you're about to say why you didn't like it, but I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I would say I overliked it. I would say it's perfectly readable. It's very Bendisy, for better and for worse. Yeah. So, how are your feelings on the?
Yeah. So again, I love Naomi. I gotta caveat this with I love Naomi as a character. That first arc, or that first mini, fantastic. I just feel here, Bendis has not given me a reason outside of her superpower set why she needs to be on the Justice League, right? Like, I just feel like he's throwing her in there because that's his character. He's writing the book, and I get the stuff with Superman and how she was inspired by him, and then you point out that he's inspired by her a little bit here. But like, I don't know. I feel like she's being shotgunned onto the Justice League, and we'll see if this goes.
There's an important
the next issue.
Distinction here I think needs to be made is that, and this doesn't necessarily change the complaint necessarily, but I think it's important to point this out, that it's not so much just that she's been shotgunned onto the team. It's because the entire plot right now, the villains, it's all about her world. It's about the villains from her world. It's all connected through her. So I would say that it's more that the Justice League are being included in this arc of Naomi. It just happens to be called Justice League.
Right. But so for it to be called Justice League and not Naomi, I still feel like she's just the MacGuffin.
It's kind of bizarre how Bendis was writing Young Justice for like 2 years and didn't throw Naomi onto the Young Justice team. Where
she did.
Well, she did appear in it. She wasn't.
No, appeared, but like as a main member, where arguably she's a better fit for than Justice League, right?
In my opinion, I agree with that. And again, I want more Naomi stuff, but I just feel the inclusion of the Justice League here is just almost, it's too many spinning plates, like, and especially when you have the Marquez art and you have all of these fight things going on and all those little bubbles. I was kind of losing track here, and I kept forgetting, like, oh yeah, this is Naomi's home planet, and there's a lot going on here, and there's a whole lot of mysteries that he seeds. Like, why don't Black Adam and Superman's powers work, right? But Black Canary's is supercharged.
I mean, tons of people's are supercharged. Hers was just more like, because she even says she misses the supercharged Canary cry, whereas the others are, the powers are just all in the fritz that it's unmanageable.
Right. And all that type of stuff. And I just, again, I feel like it's Naomi co-opting the Justice League, and not that Justice League needs to be this, flagship series for DC. Just that I would like a nice clean Justice League story that's not just, I feel like you pointed it out perfectly, better than I could, that this is Naomi featuring the Justice League.
I feel like this is the sort of thing as well, like, where if this was like the fourth arc of Bendis' run, just hypothetically, your fourth arc, you're doing a Naomi thing, you go, okay, that's fine now. But when you start, like, there was nothing of his Justice League before this. It was just Naomi from the start.
I think, I mean, the fair disappointment that I would agree with is that you see Bendis on Justice League, you see some of the team books he's had before, you're hoping for that sort of special Bendis run on the book. And I think the inclusion of Black Adam and Apollo and Green Arrow and Black Canary felt like, oh, he's building a very unique team. It feels like it might be a special new era for Justice League. So the fact that it does feel more like Naomi Season 2 that happens to also star the Justice League is a bit of a weird feeling. And because this end of this arc just feels like it's only planted seeds to come back to this, well, whether that's in the second arc or further down the line, it feels like, oh, this is what this run's really about, rather than being just a full-on Justice League run.
Is Naomi sticking around as part of the team?
Seems like it.
That's how I feel, because they basically they've all agreed, and I like this. Again, I feel like she's shotgun, but they've all agreed kind of to mentor her because she's so lost, right? Like, she's, she has the issues with her planet and wanting to go back there, but she has no idea how to use her powers because they're so on and off.
I did like the like all of them basically say they'll chime in and help train her. Like Aquaman says you'll join in and stuff. That was kind of neat.
Which I like that, but for her basically to be a Justice League mentee versus a full-on member, especially with how we don't understand how her powers work. She doesn't understand how her powers work. They're kind of on the fritz. Like, I again, there's other young heroes that I feel that are more ready for how come every young powerful hero isn't given the same slot Naomi is?
Because they're not all written by Bendis.
Exactly. And that's and I just feel like too, this is every book he's written, he's thrown Naomi in at some point. Action.
It's a weird thing because unlike those books, this book is constructed to where she is vital to it because the entire plot's revolving around the enemies from her world coming to Earth,
which kind of makes it worse, right?
Well, kind of, yeah. It's kind of why I'm saying that it's not that the complaint's invalid, but I think the complaint has to be reworded slightly because it's not so much that she's been shotgunned into a story that she shouldn't be included in. It's more that the entire thing is constructed to be a Naomi story. With Justice League just being a part of it. I think there's a distinct difference in that.
It feels like perhaps Bendis was like, how do I make Naomi sell more? I know. I call the next Naomi book Justice League and the sales will triple.
Right, but I don't even feel like that because sometimes she doesn't feel like the main character.
Well, she's not. She's not always the main character. I mean, they still try to pretend to be an ensemble book. And here's the thing. Right. I mean, for all I know, she might be the lead character in the next issue. She might be on the cover. I can't remember the solicit. But it wouldn't surprise me if she is gone for a couple issues here. The way she sort of leaves to go home to see her parents, like she could be gone for a couple issues, and we could get like a little 2-parter or something. That's just a little fun Justice League story. I don't know. I don't know that.
Stuff tying into Checkmate next. I vaguely remember that being a thing.
That's the one book she hasn't showed up in yet.
Yet.
Give it time. Give it time though. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really do like.
Was she in Legion?
What? No, but that was a mess. So
yeah, but you don't just get to say that and that discounts it.
That was set 1,000 years away.
Yeah, and John was there.
It was time traveling, no? They could find a way.
I'm sure given enough time, Naomi would have showed up. And they would have given her a Legion name, which I actually kind of would have liked, because then she'd get a code name, and we just don't call her first name, I'm trying to think of a good name for her, because I don't even exactly know what her powers are, either. Like, there's still so much mystery to the character, and it's very frustrating, because and just the way that the story starts here, like, it's the old Bendis, all right, well, we'll start, we won't start at the cliffhanger, we'll jump forward and then we'll go back. And I know they're energy based, but I don't know exactly what they are. Pete, do you know what they are?
No, it was.
Naomi's powers.
Oh, her powers. Okay. Her powers are. There's energy. She has blast of energy. I mean,
so just.
I'm not fussed about the definition of her powers. Like, if the whole idea is she's kind of a weird junior member, will they train her? Like, I think that's a fine concept. But the book is designed around it being all around her lore, which, whatever. The funny thing about this is that the more time goes on, the more Bendis' time at DC overall looks like it's a bit of a disappointment overall. Because the Checkmate's very good. or Leviathan was very good, and Checkmate's, looking promising enough. But there's been definite caveats to everything. Young Justice was kind of disappointing, and ultimately just didn't feel like it was up too much.
Is Naomi the one thing that that first of all, that was like the one hit?
And Leviathan, I'd say. Those are the two things I really liked. But and large portions of action, to be fair, there was definitely parts early in the Superman stuff that I really, really liked.
Yeah, because.
Yeah, it went a bit wonky as it went on, but
yeah.
Superman, for the most part, I think is the first Naomi mini are my two favorite things he's done. The Leviathan stuff is pretty good. But Teen Titans or Young Justice started okay and then just felt superfluous.
And then the funny thing is, though, is that for all of these books, there's been sort of like hype going into them because it's going to be a Bendis Young Justice book where it's going to make Young Justice big. Or it's going to be the Return of Legion, it's going to be big. Or he's doing Justice League, and this is a really cool looking roster, it's going to be big. And because that each of those have kind of... And this is bad. Like, I think this is very readable, but it's not a special new era of Justice League by any means. It's not that at all. So there is
No.
kind of this now lingering thing where I'm kind of expecting to be mildly disappointed with whatever Bendis gets attached to at DC now.
But see,
Which-
stupid me goes into it going, oh man, Bendis writing Ollie? I've always wanted to hear him because street level heroes Bendis just nails. And like his Ollie's fine, but he's not almost a main character.
Mhm.
And it's more Hippolyta, Naomi, and Black Adam is who he's chosen to focus on right now. Which weird flex for a Justice League book, but I'm gonna keep reading, give him the benefit of the doubt. But I feel like now I'm mainly buying the book for Justice League Dark, not for Bendis' Justice League. Because if they had spun Justice League Dark out in its own book, I would easily buy that before I buy this. You know? And that's a weird spot for a backup.
I mean, I find it very readable still, even if it's not like the best thing ever. I mean, but notably because I am enjoying so much of what I'm reading right now, it is kind of lower in the ranks, but it's still better than the typical things that I'm kind of I teeter on and drop.
I mean,
so it's
if something catastrophic happened and I had to drop a bunch of books, I would not be upset about losing Bendis Justice League.
You'd just be upset about losing Justice League Dark.
That one a little bit, but I would get over it. But not. This isn't Taylor's Nightwing or even Detective Comics, which I'm thoroughly enjoying right now.
Oh yeah, Detective's way better than this. There's no
but it is kind of, and it's not even a quality thing. It's just because again, it's fine. If you like Bendis, I'm sure you like this, but it isn't, out of everything I've read from him, this isn't his strongest by a mile. Like I don't even think he's, outside of some of the earlier Superman stuff and Naomi, the first mini, I don't think he's even touched any of his peak stuff.
I think expectations with Bendis now are tempered, just sort of in general, and that's fair. What are you rating the story?
6.5.
I concur with the 6.5. Okay.
So what I'm guessing Matt was saying,
if you don't start out with Justice League Dark right now, you're not going to. We're moving on.
I mean, if you want to deprive the listeners of a stellar Justice League Dark, be my guest. You can move on.
Go on.
I'm going to play chicken now.
Go on. Do it. Hurry up.
Okay. He was never going to follow through on that threat. So
someone wait when it's done, because I'm going to mute this so I don't ruin it for myself.
There you go. Go ahead and mute it. So they're in the library.
There'll be no waving.
And
I'm just going to let him sit there quietly for the rest of the episode.
He's going, this is a long Justice League Dark review.
You talking shit about me already?
Yes.
Not at all. I would never do such a thing.
I just see laugh. If Pete's laughing, he's not listening to a damn thing man said about Justice League Dark. That means this is about me.
Yes. So real quick. I'll be quick. So they're inside the Library of Babel, and they're talking with the librarian, and basically Constantine comes up with a fix out of this where he ends up making a meta story about them finding the key to get out of the library. And you end up seeing the script for this issue of Justice League Dark with stuff crossed out and rewritten, and you're meant to believe this is Constantine writing it. And real fun page with them actually standing on the script, talking about how this is going to work. And how they end up out of it is Constantine pulls up the corner of the page and it pulls them back into the actual library they started in. But they're Jason Blood says that because they figure out that he's going to Atlantis because that's the book that he pulled, and that they need to get word out to Aquaman. And Jason Blood says, like, this is all meaningless because you don't know Merlin like I do. He's the smartest, most Machiavellian adversary any of us has faced. Now he has his book. This is all pointless. He's going to do what he needs to do. But, he's always 1,000 steps ahead. So let's use this against him. And then it goes to the Tower of Fate with Man-Bat and Khalid basically trying to access Naboo because Naboo's, not in the helm anymore. And there's this long spot of Man-Bat talking about why this might not work. And Khalid goes, wait, what do you mean it might not work? He goes, I'm a biologist who accidentally turned himself into a bat. I have no idea what I'm doing. So just a little bit of fun there. And they end up firing, you know, all this energy into the helm, and Khalid gets visions, what looks like, I would say, like, it says standing in the sands of Ur, a great ziggurat looming on the horizon, which Ur is basically the Atlantis of the sands. It's, you know, there's stories about it that it had disappeared, you know, it's on the Saudi Peninsula, it's never been found. And then a vision of them standing at the Tower of Fate as it's being destroyed. And then a vision of a young woman at the doorstep of a great cathedral. And that's where it cuts to our knight that, you know, Merlin had stabbed and left for dead. Her name's Elnara. She's in Gotham City at this church. And so she goes in, and there's some weird cult thing going on. And it looks like they're working for Merlin or in order. Like, they have swords, they're wearing red cloaks. And the main one says, so it seems like they're working against Merlin. Now up on second, right? Says, as we suspected, the old man was speaking to someone on the outside. I'll handle him. She shows up, basically announces herself as Elnara Rostu, the 13th Oathsworn. And to basically, you know, cast aside your weapons because your reckoning's here. As she's doing this, Batman's overlooking and he smiles, to which it's to be continued. This is Zermanico art, which, you know, earlier in the show when we talked about Infinite Frontier, I just wish Zermanico could draw everything. I think current favorite artist working right now, I'd have to say. So the book ends up looking fantastic, and just Ram V with what he's doing by breaking up the story into different chunks, because still don't know what Merlin's plans with Atlantis are. But here, you know, our heroes having to try to stay steps ahead while he's even more. And then just with the meta storytelling, it's just, you know, fun to read. And I look forward to this one every, you know, now it's every other week. So that's nice. So I'm gonna give Justice League Dark an 8.5.